Good morning. We shall start a bit late, but people are coming in. So, how was your morning? Did you have breakfast? Did you have coffee? Did you have energy drinks? No. But you had breakfast, you had coffee, you got energy. And when you slept, you charge your batteries. And all the equipment that is outside doesn't work without energy. And we forgot this for many years, during the peacetime, everything is good. The energy is just given to us. Now things a bit changed. And today we will talk about the energy efficiency and resilience. But let me set the scene. There is a power manager, a soldier, wakes up very early in the morning, in cold morning, putting on gloves, going out, checking the power generations, the generation of electricity, gensets, how much fuel is there, all the lights are properly green. When he needs to refill those gensets, and also if there is enough power for the others when wake up. To have breakfast, so also the kitchen needs to work. They need electricity. There are some in role 2, in hospital. They need to be properly treated. There needs to be heat. People will go out for running, coming back, taking shower, and so on. They need energy, and the power manager is the first to provide it. And now we changed a bit this scene. This is very nice, low-intensity military operation where people are located in tents, sleeping in tents, and working. So the war fighters, those who we all know that they go in front, they do exercises, they are there, they do the combat and so on, they need first to have breakfast, to take shower, to have coffee. And for this, we need plenty of energy. And then we have high-intensity operations. This guy goes in the morning out, checking all the power generators, but checking in parallel also if there is explosive, because that's a high-value target. He puts on the helmet and the body vest. Why? Because he's very good target, and he is high-value target actually. Because all of us, we know that those guys, if you move them out, the other people will lose the morale, because they will be hungry, they will be cold, they will not take the shower. And then, suddenly, he knows everything is very good with the power generation, but the fuel is very low. And he calls the guy in logistics, I need the fuel. That guy has a storage of fuel, and he knows that the level of that fuel is low. And he's calling to the other guys in the logistics, please bring me the fuel. Yeah, that's okay. But from that point, where there is a huge bulk of fuel, to my base is several hundred kilometers in very dangerous area. And he needs to have plenty of protection, combat units to protect him, to bring the fuel for those guys to have breakfast, to have warmth, to eat, to have coffee. 3,000 soldiers, people were killed in Afghanistan from 2003 to 2009, only delivering fuel. 3,000. How many trucks were actually killed? Nobody knows, or there is no statistic, at least I don't know. $400 was cost of 1 gallon of fuel on base, delivering on base in Afghanistan. When I was there 8, months, something like that. And 70% of that fuel is wasted because the power generators are not highly efficient, or they are not operating. They are efficient, but they are operating in just waiting that they need to provide the proper energy. So 250 kilowatt power generators usually works on the 20, 30 kilowatts. All the fuel that is not properly used is wasted. So now calculate what is actually the cost of kilowatt hour of electricity. And you know what the guy in the transport COI is thinking when delivering this fuel there? Why these guys, they have, instead of 21 degrees in tent, they request 18 degrees. If they would be satisfied with 18 degrees, I would need to deliver 1 truck less per day. And my colleague would be still alive. That's the military life. And here we are talking about the energy. And when we translate this to our operation here, where the energy is given by, is just given, so you just plug in your charger to have the battery charge for the camera, for your mobile phone, for computer and so on. What if that happens that suddenly it is cut, like in Spain recently? Defense forces needs to operate. And the fact is, if we operate more effective, we use less prime energy, and we need less energy to convert that energy in more useful energy, and so on and so on, and all the chain. So at the end, we save not just money, we save lives. And therefore, energy efficiency and resilience. It's okay, I can charge that mobile phone and so on, and it will take 1 day. What about next day? Can I do that? This is called resilience. How long we can operate on the proper way. And if we consume less, if we can locally store, if my consumption is smart and more efficient, so I will be resilient longer and longer. And that's the goal. In Spain, according to my colleagues, what we were discussing in different forums, during the blackout, the defense forces were ready, operating full of energy. You know where was the problem? When they came out of the barracks, there was no traffic light working. All the traffic was blocked. So this is called the resilience of the society of the country. So when my colleagues are calling me, even though that I'm in blue uniform, the green Y or Martian or whatever, I'm saying, yes, okay, call me like that, but get the proper experience and you will understand why I'm doing that and why I'm very proud that what we are doing. And today, we will have this panel on the energy efficiency and resilience. We will share the experience on what we do actually in the Ministry of Defense, what we do with the science, or what Slovene science is also doing in supporting MOD and resilience of this country, what industry is doing on this and supporting the national resilience and defense resilience, and how we can actually, and it's only reasonable to connect everything, or let's say to cooperate with allied forces on the Europe level, NATO, UN, and so on. And today, we will more focus on the Europe part. Today with me are 3 speakers. I'm very glad that they are here with me. First of all, I'm there. I'm Colonel Robert Čipec, Energy Efficiency and Green Transition Division Head, quite a new established division at our MOD, because I believe that we were able to convince the decision maker top level that the energy efficiency is something that we need to discuss more and more organized. Professor Sekaučnik from the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering, he will bring us all or show us the top level and also the research part of today thematics. Then Matej Gajzer, managing director of TECES and the president of the Slovene Partnership for Energy and Environment in Defense, will talk more from the point of view from industry. And here with us is Maja Kuzel. She is project officer energy at European Defence Agency and also project manager of the Consultation Forum for Sustainable Energy in Defense and Security Sector. And I'm very glad that we establish this panel in that way, and I'm sure that you will find out the importance of these thematics, what we are talking today. And please prepare some questions also for the end, because we would really like to be challenged, and we would like to answer on all your questions. Oops. So if we run the first part, okay, so what are our activities? When it actually starts everything? I would say we started thinking more operational energy on the, let's say, top strategic level with different projects that appeared. But mainly we started with the consultation forum that appeared in 2015. So the Europe was so clever to say, dear gentlemen and ladies, the MODs, we are giving you money, we are bringing you to very nice hotels. Please go there and just discuss the energy and resilience. At that time was very modern, and still it is, the Green Deal, or let's say the common goals on the environmental protection and decreasing of the emissions to protect our environment. And still it is. But after the Ukrainian war started, more and more we are talking about the resilience. What I'm saying, these are both the same stuff. If I can do the local production, local storage, I'm talking here about the green transition, about the green technologies. So I'm protecting more and more nature by this. I'm more and more with the common goals, but at the same time I increase resilience. What I do when I report to my decision makers is, before Ukraine war, I started green transition and so on at my activities, consequently resilience. Nowadays, I start resilience and so on, consequently green transition. Everything is the same. We work the same, just we changed. So EU Green Deal and defense is obliged to follow the Green Deal common goals. And it was actually in this document of the European External Action Services, Climate Change and Defense Roadmap, was actually tasked the defense of Europe to follow the environmental goals. That's okay. So we were tasked by very top level. And Strategic Compass for Security and Defense in March 2020 actually extended even more, but saying that all the defense forces need to have the strategies, we need to prepare the strategies, how to gain those goals, but being aware that we should never harm the operational capabilities of our defense forces. So whatever we do, we just enrich our capabilities, what we have, our defense capabilities that we need to build according to different force goals and so on. So what we did? Yes, also at MOD, we prepared the national strategy, it is called not the strategy on the climate change or something like that, but the long-term guidelines for the increasing climate resilience. And in that strategy, we actually described how we will do and what are the tasks or what are the goals and where we need to go. And from that one, we already prepared the action plan, and not just the action plan, we activated all these projects. So we really increased the renovation of our buildings. Barracks in Ljubljana are very modern. We invested a lot in the modernization of the buildings. We are introducing more and more renewable sources, and we have wish to be completely, let's say, self-sufficient regarding that. We try to change our, let's say, mobility requirements and transition to alternative fuels, and making transport more sustainable, and we invest a lot in the R&D in this area. So, because if you would like to do some changes in this regard, first you need to know what you consume. You need to know how much energy you need. You need to know how much waste you produce. You need to know, I don't know, where you get and what kind of, let's say, heat you produce and you get, and how you do that. And because we have all this data, we calculated also the CO2 emissions, or let's say CO2 equivalent emissions, and we now know exactly how much we emit of CO2 equivalent per year. Why we need that? For sure, there is a goal that 2050 we are carbon neutral. That's our wish. So we just put the line in the graphs 2050, 0. And we follow if we have advantage or not. And this is scope 1 and scope 2 according to Greenhouse Protocol. I believe everybody know about this. And there is a red arrow. You can see it here. It shows that already in 2018, we did a huge step in the decreasing the emissions just because we requested that the electricity that is supplied to us is only from the green sources. You can buy the green electricity. So it decreases a lot the emissions. How much we emit? I would say like that. We are here in Celje. Cinkarna Celje emits 5 times more than complete Slovene Ministry of Defense, Armed Forces, and Civil Protection Civil Protection part together. Or I should say differently, military and MOD emits per year 5 times less than company here in Celje. Why is this good to compare? Because not that they are so, but you know how many times we get from journalists questions, yes, your tanks there, they emit a lot, you know, they burn the fuel and so on. But no, we need to do that. That's our training and so on. But we do that on the smart way. We invest more and more in the simulators to consume less fuel and so on and such activities. And we think differently also when we are in operations. Just for your interest, tell me what is the higher consumption on the operations when you are deployed in the camp. Who has the idea? Let's say Afghanistan. There is hot, so air conditioning, ventilation, heating, and so on. So that's the major consumption. What's the second? Coffee machines. Not computers, coffee machines. When in the morning you start and press the button to heat the coffee, think about it. Somebody needs to produce the electricity. It's very simple here when we have the big power plants and so on. And because we are measured all the CO2 emissions, we were focusing also in the scope 3. So the industry that is supplying to us, now we are asking you, how much you emit when you are producing the good that we are buying from you. Why it is important? Because that is very frequently happening in the civilian world when banks are asking you, okay, what are you emitting for the production and so on, and if you are good, you will get credit or not, or something like that. But in defense, nobody is asking. Why we should not? Because I can do the same capability with almost the same equipment, but with a better production line. If those guys are good at the production line, also I have the resilience in the supply chain. So that's the logic behind. Therefore, we will more and more requesting also, tell me for the 8x8 or the Iris-T, how much is the emission factor of that equipment? So we were able, with this philosophy, with this approach, we were invited also to the COP29, working together with the non-governmental organizations to present this to the United Nations. It's true, Maya will more tell us about how much military emit, but the fact is that we need to go and look at this factor. Not just equipment that is produced. Ukrainian war has calculation of the emission of the CO2 equivalents. There is no problem when they are exploding mines and so on. These are not contributing a lot to the worldwide emissions, or let's say the temperature and so on. They are not greenhouse gas emissions. The problems are secondary effects. Nobody's able to extinguish the big fires, industrial fires, or forest fires, or something like that, because of the danger. And those are the highest producer of the CO2 emissions in the war. And for sure, later on, the reconstruction of the damaged infrastructure. So what we do, as I mentioned before, renovation of our buildings. So isolation, different trying to put different sources of power. We measure everything there, how much we consume, how much we do, how much soldiers are requesting the electricity and so on, or energy, heat and so on, and equipped with very smart management system, energy management system. That is fine-tuning, and the results are already there. The next, making transport more sustainable. You might see me in uniform biking across the Ljubljana, because that's the best commuting stuff for Ljubljana. You can do everything. And we have plenty of meetings with other ministries and so on, and we use electrical bikes, because, you know, not to sweat too much in such an... Or car sharing. We use car sharing. Why to buy our own cars if we can share the cars? For sure, we have more and more electrical vehicles, different ones, and we are establishing the recharging station on all our barracks. One project that appeared through the consultation forum in 2018 was actually Defense Resilience Hub network in Europe. What is that? That was the idea presented to Europe-wide defense community to establish in barracks energy harvesting, so photovoltaics, wind, I don't know what you have available there. All the leftovers of the electricity or energy you convert into the hydrogen. This hydrogen is actually the storage for the energy, but you can consume it in a different way. One way is to power the barracks when it is without the electricity, and the second, you can charge the vehicles that use hydrogen as a fuel. And there in the whole D, you can see the Kia combat vehicle, actually, that uses hydrogen as a fuel, and there is a 90 kilowatts fuel cell inside, and it works. And Kia is delivering as a regular delivery to the Korean military. So it means also for the defense it is possible to do with the hydrogen. And next is, when you have complete network of such hubs, you can actually do and establish more sustainable transportation. So our idea is to put everywhere in Slovenia, on all our barracks, this capability. And now, for sure, as I mentioned before, we were actually promoting this through the European Consultation Forum for Sustainable Energy, but that's not the only way how we cooperate with internationally. First of all, we very good cooperate on this subject with other ministries of the ministries in Slovenia. Also, different, let's say, energy big guys like LS, like Plinovodi, and so on the subject. Then in the United Nations, in NATO, we have several working groups on these thematics. And in Europe, Maya will present more on what is going there. Then we have permanent structure cooperation activity on the energy's operational function that we additionally try to connect militaries to establish this capability. And we established 5 years ago Slovenian Partnership for Energy and Environment. That was one of the best ideas we ever had, I believe, in Europe. And what we actually do with this partnership, you can see here all the technologies that we cover within that partnership. So that's the knowledge from our institutes of knowledge, research organizations, industry, and so on, they have expertise in those areas. So there was in the civilian world quite good developed smart houses or smart cities and so on, concepts and so on, and we translate that into the defense, or we help somehow with our experience explain what is the defense when I started setting the scene. So explaining to industry and research organizations what is the defense, and at the end to have the goal to establish the smart camp. This smart camp, we have a clear goal in Europe what to do. In 2050, we should reduce 100% the camp operation, so that all these power generators, they should not have any fuel in, but we can locally produce all the energy, and so on. You can read. And in all 4 areas, so tropic area, very cold area, very dry area, and where we are now. What we achieved with this Siene is we changed the classical cooperation between the government and research organizations and the industry, the classical triple helix. We added end user. We added soldier. What we are developing, the soldiers have on hand, and they bring back the experience. And we establish quadruple helix and cooperate everywhere, in NATO, EU, on the national level, in United Nations. We try to do some public-private partnerships with some projects. It's not so successful, but we are partnering with the public partners, other public partners. So we are part of the North Adriatic Hydrogen Valley. It's okay, it's run by HSE, but anyway, we are calling it more than public-public partnership. Then it's with the Plinovodi established Slow H2 partnership. So we are sharing with them experience, not just experience, but also our plans and so on. And this is an example when we signed the plan to commonly invest, or let's say cooperate, in establishing huge electrical or photovoltaic power plant close to Vipava, together with SENK, so electrical power plants in Nova Gorica, then is Community Vipava, there is DARS and MOD. And the wish is actually where we have the shooting ranges, there is plenty of land on the shooting ranges to build there the photovoltaics. Why not to use that land for that purpose? We defend our country. This is service to our country. Energy distributors or transmission or something like that, and producers, their job is energy. When we need energy, they need to provide us first, because they are critical infrastructure. But why we should be a huge master of production and storage and so on? Because it's not needed, because in country somebody else who is in charge for that and has plenty of knowledge. So we give our assets, like land, buildings and so on, to them. Build your capabilities on our position, because in this case we have islanding. We can for surely work, or we shorten line of supplies of energy to the end user. And that is called resilience, actually, if I can do very shortly, or very short on this line of supply. Like we also signed with the LS, our TSO, that they will actually take care about the Race Hub project. We have plans where to build, we have all the permissions, but they know how to build it. So do that and operate. So we will be independent, energy dependent, but they will do their own job. And that's the way how to do it. So to work with our other public partners. R&D, quite fast going through. There in Hall D, you can hear, you can see, we work a lot on the hydrogen. There is a hydrogen car, or let's say the truck, that it uses 7 kilowatt PEM fuel cells since 2008. It's still the same there. Since 2008, we are operating in our military with the hydrogen. Developing of the new hydrogen cells, reforming of heavy diesel. There is also ELAFE showing kilowatt project in wheel technology. We would also connect it to the hydrogen, to batteries and so on. There is electrical bikes developed in Slovenia. There is hybridization of the heavy machines and so on. Very nice example is also this project. Industry got some money from the state to build modular deployable capabilities. We were only offering our land, our barracks, built there and test it. And we will put inside our soldiers that you will get feedback if your product is okay. And I believe industry is quite satisfied with that. Then is waste to fuel concept, solar, geothermal, we would like to explore more. And here you have, geothermal map. We were partnering, or let's say we asked our institute for Geo Institute to prepare us where we can actually use that one. And because in the future will be more and more need for the energy in different shapes and so on, or let's say we would do also conversion, like hydrogen from the water, and then from hydrogen to the e-fuels and so on. For this convergence and so on, you need plenty of energy. And why not to have in barracks small or micro nuclear reactors? Very soon the technology will be available. Chinese, Russian, they are already quite advanced. Americans, not so much, and Europe is waking up. Not small nuclear reactors, they are too big for us. We work about small power plants from 1 to 10 megawatts of power and about 20, 30 megawatts of heat. I was a bit long, so thank you for your attention. And now I invite Professor Sekaučnik, who is chair of Power Engineering Laboratory for Heat and Power at the University in Ljubljana, Faculty of Mechanical Engineering. Professor, please.
Thank you so much, Colonel Šipec, and good morning to everyone. I feel very honored and also proud to be invited to this event, Sidec event, and I would like to briefly present you really, I hope you will all understand what I will introduce you. So something about low carbon technologies for electricity supply, and there is an idea of energy hub, and how we can rely on those technologies when it is about, let's say, crisis of all sorts, whether it is military crisis or natural disasters, and then later on I will conclude some concluding remarks. So, first of all, these are some pictures that I would like to point out that in the history, what the lessons we have learned actually, the whole civilizations declined at most for the reason that they were not capable of providing enough energy supply, or they were not capable to get close to natural energy sources. So there is no defense actually without reliable energy supply and logistics. So, and the other pictures, which probably remarks you like science fiction, but this is actually reality. So modern defense and also modern society at the same time rely on, let's say, energy supply. And the most part of this energy supply is, of course, electricity supply. And this electricity and this energy supply is not only mentioned to be used for moving people, equipment, and things like that, but more and more of this energy supply goes to, let's say, cybernetics, or for data, let's say, processing. So the modern society depends not only on energy supply, but also on let's say, smart, as it was pointed out by, let's say, Colonel Sidec before me, on, let's say, smart energy management. And this smart energy management is, let's say, of crucial dependence on let's say, information technologies. So let's move on. It was also pointed out that the modern, let's say, society, knowing that we are challenging, let's say, these climate changes and also these needs to energy transition, will be introducing, let's say, completely new technologies which will change the whole structure of energy supply. So it is a necessity, actually, to integrate different low-carbon technologies into a completely new energy supply network. And this means that we will combine, let's say, different power generation systems. And as I will point out later on, there are some really, really hard challenges to be solved with the new variable energy energy generation technologies. We will need somehow to store the surplus energy, let's say, sources in order to provide power supply later on when there is a scarcity of power supply. So, and as we, let's say, know from the past, the energy supply, just normal energy supply for the society, were structured in the past from the big power plants that feed then transition grids, and from transition grids, the, let's say, distribution grids were supplied to the end consumers on the end of the line. So But this system now has been disintegrated into, let's say, distributed power grids. And this is, of course, some point where we can also find out, let's say, the possibility of finding also the common denominator with the military use. So when it is about the defense, the energy system should ensure energy supply under disrupted or isolated conditions. I think Colonel Šipec gave us a very, very, let's say, good examples on the fields, on the reality. How does it look like when something goes wrong? For example, in Spain, if I don't mention other crisis areas. So, and those energy conversion systems or smart grids that we strive to bring into the normal life is, of course, very, very interesting also for the defense operations, for supply in disrupted conditions, and also for natural disasters and civilian energy needs. So, what we have actually now, we introduce more and more renewable, variable energy sources like photovoltaics or wind energy, and this comes along with more traditional but nevertheless low carbon technologies like hydropower stations or nuclear power. These are more or less conventional energy supply systems. But for the first one, we can recognize that they are of low power density. They have low power density, which means a large areas are needed if we need to provide a considerable, let's say, power supply on one hand. But the power supply, as it is noted on the slide, as you can see, is intermittent. It is not, let's say, aligned with the consumer's profile. So the power production has some problem that we have to address later on. And the, let's say, the conventional power systems, are characterized by high power supply, high power density, which means actually that a lot amount of energy is produced on very small footprint. So, how to bring those technologies together when we don't have power supply and power demand matched? We need somehow to store surplus energy in order to displace the consumption on later time, for example. So we have many possibilities nowadays, like a battery, like hydrogen technologies. It was already mentioned by Colonel Šipec. And we sometimes also need heat storage. Here is an example from district heat power plant in Ljubljana. So, of course, there are also other technologies available, but let's say if we talk about the defense sector, these are, let's say, some interesting examples. So, about Green Energy Hub, it was already mentioned in the project Race Hub. There is an initiative somehow how to introduce into the defense sector an example of smart grid that would be autonomous, which means it should not rely on the grid energy supply, on the public grid energy supply. So it needs to provide its own electricity, for example, by wind power plants, by photovoltaics, and of course, as mentioned before, we need to store this electricity in form of, let's say, hydrogen. So we have electrolyzer in the smart grid and use this hydrogen to power fuel cell to produce electricity on demand. And if we have some hydrogen in surplus, this hydrogen could be then used for, let's say, some car fleet and transportation. So what we did actually within this project, we did model, so let's so to say a digital twin for this power plant when we could simulate in, let's say, in real time what would be situation if there we will have let's say a realistic profile of wind power or solar power, and we also are able to calculate or to dimension specific components of this system. I hope the project will continue, and someday when the barracks will be equipped, really equipped with such systems, our adapted model will serve for providing, let's say, smart controlling and also adapting system using further capabilities of such digital twin like artificial intelligence. So these are some results of this project. I will not bother you with the many details. I am available later on to discuss about this if you are interested in. But I would like at the end of this presentation point out also some other things. So these smart grids that rely on renewable or variable renewable energy sources are capable of island operation, as we demonstrated within this Race Hub project, for example. Energy supply from those smart grids are, let's say, able to supply energy to disaster-affected areas with mobile battery and fuel cell fleet. So if we provide energy supply on those grids, and the, let's say, affected area is on some distant area, we can then supply, let's say, using battery or hydrogen as an energy source to those places. But it is normally not enough to provide supplying critical infrastructure. So this is somehow the weakness of those smart grids. And also, these are very sensitive to some, let's say, extreme environment conditions, and we suffered in recent decades many of those events. And this is also why we should consider to implement small and micro modular reactors. And just to introduce or to briefly describe what is the difference, small modular reactors are reactors that are capable of producing up to 300 megawatt electricity of various types. Normally they are water-cooled to advance Gen 4 technology, which is well developed. And also in previous presentation, the micro reactor has been presented, which is normal heat pipe cooled reactor and potentially transportable. So, and what are actually the features of those reactors? They have actually very high power density, which means very small footprint for enormous energy production. So it has extended fuel cycle, which means the fuel needs to be exchanged, let's say, within few years. Many years you are able to run those reactors without exchanging the fuel. Those reactors are developed in such a way that they are from the safety point of view, they have passive inherent safety system, which means the safety system do not rely on external power supply, like in conventional power plants, nuclear power plants. So they enable grid-independent operation. They have flexible power output, which is very important. I tried to point out the problem with variable renewable energy sources with this regard. These reactors are fabricated and, let's say, completed in the factory and then brought to the specific location when they could operate after they are integrated in the energy system. They enable polygeneration operation, which means they enable CHP, combined heat and power production, and also they enable to produce with surplus electricity also hydrogen, for example, as a feedstock, as an energy carrier, or the feedstock for let's say, synthetic fuel production. And they are very hardened and secure design, and they produce, of course, low carbon, long-term energy production. So this is again some remarks on let's say, micro nuclear power generation, power plants. So they can produce electricity, heat, and hydrogen as an energy carrier or feedstock for synthetic fuel production. And I call this triple purpose. It is interesting solution not only for defense purposes, but also for peaceful use, new optimized business models. Let's say sector coupling is very interesting potential to implementing this new technology. Of course, as shown previous, this is portable somehow energy supply solution which could be used to resolve or to somehow help in natural disasters, for example, and of course for military use to supply critical military infrastructure like military headquarters, hospitals, logistic centers, etc. So, and let me conclude briefly. So, new energy solutions demand reliable energy supply, and it is of crucial importance for operational defense capability and national resilience. Fully renewable energy hubs can enhance sustainability but remain highly sensitive to environmental variability. And resilient energy systems should integrate a mix of low carbon technologies with nuclear energy offering the highest strategic potential, and small and micro modular reactors represent feasible and secure solution when properly integrated into complex hybrid energy systems. And last but not least, Slovenia has strong technical and infrastructural prerequisites to develop flexible, multi-purpose nuclear-based energy hubs together with renewable energy sources supporting civilian and defense purposes. And if you have some other questions, here are my let's say, contact data. So do not hesitate to contact us. And probably just an information, we are also part of Industrial Alliance on SMR. And our laboratory at the faculty coordinates many tasks within this alliance. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'm eager to hear your questions later on.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor. I think you opened quite many questions. It's quite new thematics, very interesting thematics, and for sure there will be more and more to talk about it. And now I'm inviting Matej Geiser. I don't know how to introduce him because I see him more than my wife last days. And not just days, but years actually. So that would mean that defense and, or let's say military and industry and research organizations are really working together hand by hand. And today, Matej Geiser, Managing Director of the TECES and also the President of the Slovene Partnership for Energy and Environment, will actually show us what was actually the advantage of this partnership and also what are already the achieved successes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Colonel Robert Šipec. Welcome also in my name. As already presented, introduced, my name is Matej Geiser. What is my role? Actually, I'm trying to understand what is the national or international defense innovation system, how to leverage all opportunities that we might have and to leverage all these possibilities when actually entering, I would say, dual use or defense value chains through different collaboration projects and participating in different programs, international programs. So, for me, you know, it's always very, very difficult to and I have been challenged for the last 6 years now, as already Colonel Šipec mentioned, that I'm always after Colonel Robert Šipec. You know, you don't know what pressure is that for me. He's speaking from experience, and I'm somebody who has no experience, just big ears, you know. And what I'm trying to do is actually listen to those representatives, MODs, because we have really good connections to them. That's what we are trying to build out to strengthen, and also to understand the current status, state of the art of industry. When I'm referring to industry, I'm referring to industry as industrial partners, you know, big ones, prime ones, SMEs, startup. But beside that, additional to that, I'm also referring to universities, research technology organization. But we all know who needs to deliver on the market solutions. So, you know, and to be honest, at the end, I'm very honored and glad that I can treat Colonel Robert Šipec as my mentor. He doesn't know that, but because actually I learned a lot. Okay. I will not try to, the aim of my presentation is not exactly to detail what we are doing, because that's not the point, and we do not have time. We have, in Haldi, we have a booth, you can come there, we can discuss in detail. But what I'm trying to do with my presentation, because, you know, defense area is something very specific. And currently we are facing that really, at least in Slovenia, I say, and also that's happening in Europe, many industry partners from industry is actually trying to enter the defense value chain. And it is not an easy. Although they might be very experienced, well-known on the civil market, with all certificate, quality assurance, manufacturing capabilities, this is totally something totally different. The approaches are not the same, except that you need to be on the first as this one. Because you need to find, they all are trying here, who are here, actually try to find somebody that might be your customer or a supplier. But that's why you need to be on the first and be part of that. I will be more focusing how we actually started on the other side. From idea, research, development, if you don't know each other, it's very hard that you will be part of the some partnership. But if you can be a part of the project, which is part of the European Union or NATO or whatever, national, then you can start collaborating. Then you can start understanding each other. Then you know. And after being, I would say, colleague partner, then you might become also development partner of somebody. So that is how actually, what is actually the main point of my presentation. Actually also trying to convince those partners who are currently thinking about whether we should do it or no. So I will not go in detail, as some Colin Robert Shipets and my professor already explained some of that, but I'm just trying to explain how actually we in Slovenia decided, and when we decided that we will be part of that. That Slovenian industry, Slovenian partners need to be part of the global defense value chain. There are many, many icons here. There are some question marks here. I forgot mentioning that we are currently already working in international partnership about the small nuclear reactors. They are also part within the European Defense Agency and so on and so on. I'm just trying to explain actually where we are starting and what our approach was already done. And as you can see, TCS is actually a Slovenian green innovation cluster with more than 25 years of experience. But here, okay, there is no last point, but anyway, on the left side, we have a lot of experience on the civilian side, a lot of projects, different levels. But as you can see, in 2020, we decided, what Colin Roberts also already presented, we decided that Slovenian MOD and TCS, based on our experience, how to foster collaboration between companies, between research organizations, how to utilize everything what was already in the previous years, and actually, how actually can we bring some added value to our industry, to MOD, and also to others. And then we established the Slovenian partnership in energy and environment in defense. How to utilize and leverage all competencies, capacity, solutions that have already been built, produced, manufactured by our companies. But that doesn't go just copy and paste. That doesn't go. So how to do that? So that was already explained. I will not go deeper, but the idea, what I'm trying to say, all those who are actually currently discussing whether should I be a part of it or no, because I know, I'm sure that in Slovenia now there are many, many, many industrial partners currently searching for where we have place to be. And the only thing, you cannot believe how many MODs, representatives from MODs, from Europe, from the NATO, whatever, are actually very much willing to discuss with you their needs, their requirements. You just need to listen to them. But first you need to have the contact with them. And it's already a problem. You cannot just come and discuss with them. So that is the challenge, and also on the other hand, also opportunity which we all have when participating in different activities, as I will present it later. And of course, if you are a representative of industry or research organizations, you just need to listen. You just need to then, whether you can find a solution for them. I'm referring only currently to the energy-related topics. Why? Because that's my opinion, and of course I might be wrong. Usually some technologies came from defense, solutions that was developed for defense, and they somehow transferred to the civilian side. I believe that in the energy-related topics, this is the opposite. Solutions that are available for the energy on what has already been presented before, related to the production or generation of energy, whether electricity or heating, cooling, or its distribution, storage, consumption, or the management on the civilian sector is on the higher level. Maturity, higher level of technology readiness level already in the market. But that doesn't mean that that is also the same for the defense. So many companies, very well-known companies, those who are part of that usually say usual suspects, are aware of this, have been big players, prime players in defense, but not in the energy, because they are just entering that. And that is opportunity for those who are flexible, smaller, have knowledge, before they will start using all diplomacy, capital, and everything. That is opportunity for you, companies, to be flexible, to be fast, and start actually transforming your solution into something new that might be useful for those. So what I'm referring to this, because this is important. We are discussing so much whether I should do that or no. The only thing is your decision whether you will do it or no. There is no simple way. It is not we will do just, something. Just put one or two guys, they will do something. This is no way. You will go down. You need to decide whether your strategy is that you will be part of the defense. Whether you will have actually the interest, capital interest, your high level of strategy need to be part of that. And you also need to ensure that you will have enough money for that, for investment, being part of that, and start being part of all what is happening here. So decision on all levels, not just let's try and we will see if something will come from it. Okay, that was just the basic idea what I wanted to present. Now, there are different ways, usually we say different ways, when this is the community. If I go back to this, as already mentioned, we see actually the added value of this, I usually call these communities. It's not whether it's NATO, whether it's the European Defense Agency, whether it's one project. You always face the same, I would say, faces, but it is actually so, because they are always, in MOD, they are always somebody who is responsible for specific topic and responsible for that. At the end, you have the location where you can actually discuss in different ways and different topics. And we just try to leverage all these activities. Then I would call top-to-bottom approach. Of course, if in civilian sector, customer is somebody else, and if we are actually buying cars, at the end we are buyers, we are users of the cars. But here, MODs are actually those, or armed forces, But you need to understand them if you want to be higher on the value chain. But of course, they are always primes, actually tier one suppliers, and that is where probably SMS and others would like to be part of that. But this is, again, you need to be present, you need to start working on. So actually, I will not get detailed because it's written on here, but for me, added value is exactly the joint activities. Listening also, you don't know how many representative industry is really eager to understand what is the technology. Technologies are developing so fast that you cannot have one expert understand all, and they are responsible for I don't know how many different areas. So actually, this is the point where we can discuss, and this is what we actually trying to leverage. I will not go in detail. Yesterday on the panel there was a research, technology and innovation manager from European Defense Agency. Yesterday, here was a representative of DG DEFIS, that means European Commission, the part that is responsible for defense and space, I would say, area and all projects. But I'm now referring only to some which we later more presented by my colleague Maya from European Defense Agency. But I'm referring how we actually trying to, I would say, leverage all national innovation mechanisms that are supporting development and also international. And this is the part of, all these are a part of the European Defense Agency. There are many, there are 15 captive. I'm now representing only one because it's related to the energy. We are very, very active in this area. And there is annual European Defense Fund. Probably you're familiar with that. Those who are here are probably familiar. Yeah. Actually this year call ended. Okay. Do not try to read that, because that was not the purpose of this slide. But this slide was much easier to present 2 years ago, because we had just a few activities. But I will now explain it. Actually, this aim of this slide is actually to present the time. And I will not, as already mentioned, the detail, but the first was decision of the MOD that they are supporting what we are doing. So it was established the Slovenian Energy and Environment in Partnership in Defense, and the first thing what we did, we actually focus on concluding the study, where actually Slovenian industry, which was not exactly the defense related, actually with experience, with solutions from the civil sector, can actually contribute to that. And of course, we defined and identified energy-related, energy resilience topic as one of them. So, what is happened, I already see now that this is 24. It's actually, the first one, it was in 2020 and 21, but that's down the second version already. But what we decided that we actually, through the study, supported by and financed by MOD, Slovenian MOD, we actually defined, what are our strategy? What will be our strategy? Where will be our focus? And we actually defined the missions, development missions, actually consisting of different technologies, solutions what we need to develop in the next 10 years. And of course that all, and this we also decided that smart energy resilient deployable becomes are one of the strategic focus where we actually can contribute with solutions, with knowledge, and so on. This is a small city. I believe that one of the largest are for 100,000 are the big ones. But you know, we are focusing on 50, 200, and 2,000. But the main focus is modularity. And autonomy. This is the point. So actually, as you see, there are many technology areas where you actually, or companies can contribute, can develop, can deliver the solutions. And this was, and still, of course, is now our focus. So that was our idea in 2020. Then, because when you are starting thinking globally, immediately you find that also others are facing the same challenges. And we were invited to lead the first green transition-related project that was EDF, India, and we also participate in NOMAD. So this was the first project which actually it concluded this January. And actually, as you see, Slovenia actually led and coordinated the project with 31 partners and 13 countries involved and 9 MODs. So it was to prepare the future strategy, how the web deployable camps will actually probably need to develop and how to develop with solutions. For those who might be interested, this is the QR code. You can download the executive summary. Of course, it's executive summary. There are many pages available for MODs and for partners, but you can actually download. You can download. You will receive the message email that we will send it to you. But you can see what are the scenarios, what are the requirements, and so on. So we also participate in another project focusing on the storage, mostly electrical storage of energy. So in 23, we decided that based on what we identified, what was the technology gaps, what were actually a requirement by MODs, that Slovenian MOD will finance 2 projects. Okay, the first one, where actually is focused on hybrid mobile microgrids, that means gensets, hybrid genset. And the second one is actually financed by other ministry, not MOD. That is how you can leverage also what you would like to do. That is Ministry of Economy. So it was the first idea how to start preparing the modular building unit and so on. And these are short, I will not explain it. You can come there. There is also demonstration, technology demonstrators. In Haldi, we can discuss it. And all of these are technology demonstrators. But you need to understand, we transform from the civilian solution now to the military harsh environment. Now we need to take in this solution all standards, military standards, certificates, and now we will have, as you already see, the next version. So these are actually national co-finance projects by MOD supporting our strategy. And now we are already in 24. We start the second version of the study. After 4 years, we actually updated it, what actually happened in the last 4 years. That's why there was a number 24. We participate in different European related projects. This is related to the maritime and to land. But again, all are related to the energy. All. And we are now already coming to the 25. As you see, we decided, or MOD decided, that we are more than happy. We obviously convinced MOD that we are doing well, our partners are doing well. If you see number 2 in acronym, that means it's the second version. That means it will be militarized version. If I previously mentioned that there are technology demonstrators, you know better than me. Please do not click on this. Please do not drive in on or off-road and so on. Just this is technology demonstrated. But now all of these projects will actually focus on. I know. I have 1 minute. We start a new area with water treatment and one with interoperability. This is one of the major issues we actually been introduced and proposed by all MODs. So we are already focusing on ensuring different solutions for ensuring interoperability. As you can see in 25, yesterday it was presented by the R&D director from European Defense. Slovenia is actually again leading the new Cat B project. These are category B projects under the auspice of European Defense Agency, financed directly by MODs. That project needs to start in 1 month, and this is one of the last projects. We are very proud of it. It should start in 1 month. Slovenia with other and MOD and TCS and our partners are coordinating, leading 57 million projects with the involvement of 42 partners, 16 countries and 12 MODs with direct financing, qualifications and action. They will actually testing all the technologies. So just to have the idea, everything is very much integrated. We are not focusing only one solution. We are integrating mobility, energy, complete smart integration, and so on. So, and this is my before the last slide. And 26, we are already in preparation. So those who are interested in participating with Slovenian partners next year, we are here. And please, let's do it together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matej. And we will be very glad where we will see the industrialization and that actually will bring that to the war fighters. And now, Maja Kuzel from European Defense Agency, the project officer on energy and project manager of my favorite consultation forum for sustainable energy and in security and defense sector. She provides very good hotels and good expertise, and what is most important, a lot of guys who has plenty of experience, and we share the experience. And without them, that would be not such a good sport what we have now. Okay, please, Maja. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert, very much. I hope that nice hotels is not the biggest takeaway that we have from the Consultation Forum, and I will try to convince you of it. But also, good morning from my side. It's very good to be here. I'm pleased to have been invited on behalf also to represent EDA activities in this domain. And I'm also very happy to be supported by our, long-standing partners, such as the speakers before me, some of them who are very, very active in the Consultation Forum. So, just as a brief overview, because we don't expect all of you to know exactly what EDA is in principle or in detail. So we are an intergovernmental agency of the Council. That means that we work for the member states. Our steering board presides at the highest level, at the level of the ministries of defense. Our main mission, as you can see here, is supporting member states in their efforts to improve military capabilities and also to support CSDP, so the security policy of the EU. You can see here our current top hierarchy, so the head of the agencies, at the same time Vice President of the European Commission and High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy. And you can see our Chief Executive as of this year. We, of course, work closely with other EU bodies dealing with defense issues, such as PSC at ambassador level, EUMC, military staff as well. So here are some of the figures. It was established in 2004, based in Brussels, roughly 200, a bit more of staff. And you can see our budget for 2025. This is all public information. Well, in addition to member states, we also cooperate closely with the states that you can see on the bottom right, with whom we have signed administrative arrangement, and then we collaborate in specific fields. So now, why are we talking about this topic, and why is it so important that we talk constantly about defense and how it is impacted by not only climate change, but how we go about the energy considerations in this field? And let me start at the global level, which, if according to some research, if the world's militaries were a country, they would have the 4th highest carbon footprint. So you can see on the right from the maximum and then coming to the 4th, that is the militaries. And they're, according to some assessment, responsible for 5.5% of global CO2 emissions. So this is, of course, not negligible. But is it only this? Why are we doing it? If we come from a global level a bit down to the European level, and also, as Colonel Šipec already said, we care a lot what EU has to say in this respect, because as of the start of the European Green Deal and follow on, we have these ambitious energy targets that we want to see, for example, by 2030, minus 55% of the greenhouse gas emissions, all in view of reaching climate neutrality by 2050. There is also currently negotiated a target of 2040, 90%. Still not fully there in place, but we're approaching. So we see more and more electrification. Buildings, all new buildings are going to have to be zero emission. So this whole, of course, impacts the military sector as well, because military and defense does not work in isolation and relies in many things on the civilian sector. But not least, I will not go into details really here, because I think Colonel Šipec has done a great job introducing why this is important for the military and why it also actually builds towards our resilience. But let's just mention a couple of examples. So if we rely exclusively on fossil fuels, we know that this brings also some geopolitical considerations that in this current day and age is something that we could do without, let's say, the least. So if we move away from this via energy transition, via more renewables, more energy resilience, we're going to have more energy independence as well. Also, yesterday, speakers at the panel on technologies spoke also of climate change impacts and how this impacts defense as well, and the area that we operate in. So climate changes, floods and fires, etc. It all impacts largely also energy infrastructure that military needs for their functioning. And also we know that some sustainable energy models are often more robust in this respect. Or if you take an example of energy grids that we use, civilian grids, so they can be prone to, blackouts that we have seen in Spain, Portugal, but also some hybrid attacks, some cyber attacks, physical sabotage. So it is good to be more independent, more self-sufficient if we produce generation on-site, if we have advanced energy storage, etc. We'll be more resilient. So what is EDA doing in this respect? You have seen this picture already in previous presentations. So more or less it is 4 pillars that we call green defense. But let's see what we mean by this. So in the circle, you will see the Energy Defense Consultation Forum that has been mentioned many times today. I'm its project manager, so you will hear the most about it. Second circled is offshore renewable energy defense, so-called symbiosis project that deals with offshore renewable energy developments and its impact on defense. So while I will present, because these are the 2 EU-funded projects, so a bit remote from the first pillar that you see, and this is EDA Energy Environment Capability Technology Group. But having said that, we work closely in collaboration with the Energy Captech, who, by the way, is more focusing on deployed operations, whereas the Consultation Forum is more fixed infrastructure and functioning in the homeland. And we have the 4th pillar as well, Incubation Forum for a Circular Economy, and there are a lot of synergies there that we're exploring. So 2 projects that I'm going to speak about in more detail. So the Consultation Forum, we have been around for a decade. We are now in our phase 4, which started last year and will finish in 2028. We have always been funded by Commission through different funding mechanisms. Phase 4 is now funded by the LIFE program, and you can see the budget here. Symbiosis, on the other hand, is dealing specifically with offshore renewable energy developments and the coexistence that can happen with the defense sector, and also to remove any barriers that are there preventing those developments. This project finished last March, but we're still exploring the results and advertising, and we have to see about the way forward. So now, Consultation Forum, we have a short video. I think it will be better that we play it if it works, and it will save me some time explaining later on.
The Consultation Forum for Sustainable Energy in the Defence and Security Sector, also known as CFSEDSS, is a European Commission initiative managed by the European Defence Agency. Its purpose is to assist ministries of defence to move towards green, resilient and efficient energy models. Together, defence and energy experts from 30 different European countries develop concrete solutions to reduce their carbon footprint while increasing operational efficiency. Within the framework of the Clean Energy Package directives, the forum focuses on improving energy efficiency and buildings performance, utilising renewable energy sources, and increasing the resilience of defence-related critical energy infrastructure. It also addresses the general issues of energy management and policy, energy innovative technologies, and will identify the applicable funding for defence energy-related projects. The forum ensures a coordinated approach to a cleaner, safer, and more sustainable defence and security sector, while contributing to the EU's 2050 climate ambitions. Sustainable energy for sustained defence.
So I hope this was clear. This is a slide of a recap of what you have actually seen. So I will not insist, just so that you know that our main objectives are somehow turned into our 4 main working groups that you can see on the right, dealing with all those specific areas. So what is it exactly that we do? We do several things. Sometimes we like to say we're like a chameleon, because at the one hand we're addressing energy policy topics, and on the other hand we're serving our MODs. So we look into energy legislation and policy at the EU level and see how it impacts defense. And also vice versa. We can feed to the European framework the feedback that we have from our MOD. So something that could be a problem in implementing, or something they struggle with, we can inform it back through different mechanisms. Then, since our name is the Consultation Forum, we are forum to gather people to exchange best practice knowledge, and from that also we have some concrete deliverables in the form of, for example, specific project ideas where we identify gaps, what is missing in this area, how can it be best tackled through collaborative projects. Then we have specific research studies that we implement to shed more light on some areas that we are not necessarily experts in ourselves. And then we also produce guidance from ministries of defense on how to improve sustainable energy and resilience. This is how we function. So our events are 6 plenary conferences that comes to more or less 2 large events per year when we gather our community, and we like to say that we're biggest energy-related defense community. In Europe, we have around 150 members, so representatives from ministries of defense, but also industry, academia, research and technology organizations. And this is where you, I guess some of you are representatives of industry, this is where you come in, because your input is quite crucial on giving us some feedback on, for example, cutting-edge, innovative energy technologies that the MODs could use. And for example, we have the Energy Technology Solutions conferences, sometimes back-to-back to our plenary conferences, where we offer industries an opportunity to exhibit, so something similar like it's done here, but also to present their pitches directly to the MODs, which is quite useful when all those people meet together in one space. In addition to those plenary conferences, we will have one tabletop exercise. Now, what does that mean? That means that we will put together, it will be around 100 participants coming from senior levels of MODs or some other related industries, ministries, and then on the other hand we will have civilian sector, we will have industry, academia, and they will all sit together and see how they will react. For example, if critical energy infrastructure is attacked by hybrid threats of various kinds, it could be disinformation, it could be cyber, it could be physical sabotage, and all exacerbated by the impacts of climate change on this infrastructure. So that should be quite interesting. It will take place in first half of 2027. And before that, you see we had our first conference in Warsaw, Poland in June this year, and the next one is going to be the 2nd, the 3rd of December in Ljubljana. And we are quite happy because Slovenia has been our supporter throughout the years, and Colonel Šipec is one of our moderators in a transversal working group. So very happy to be here again. And then our next one, large one, is going to be beginning of May next year in Cyprus, and this is where industry will have also a bigger role, as I explained earlier. By the way, my email will be shared on the last slide. If any of you want to approach me, please feel free to do so, or we can talk afterwards if there is more of an interest. Or reach out to the Sidec people and they will be able to connect you to us. So these are some of the topics discussed at our first conference, just to see what the flavor of it was. So from e-fuels, energy storage, small modular reactor security as well, but not forgetting more of a soft skills that are often forgotten skills and military behavior that we need, because if we have innovative technologies but not the personnel who knows how to deal with that, we have a problem. These are deliverables that I explained previously, so by the end of the project we will have developed 30 project ideas, several larger studies, and also this guidance document on sustainable energy. Here on the bottom, or if you just type in EDA Consultation Forum for Sustainable Energy, it should take you to our website where you can find deliverables of phase 3. And phase 3 was the previous 4-year phase that finished last year. And then you can see the examples of the project ideas, how we do things, of our guidance, and also on the right, a couple of studies performed by our contractors in all the domains spanning all working groups. On the left side, you have 3 additional studies. Everything is publicly available, downloadable on the site, dealing more specifically on the protection of critical energy infrastructure. In this respect, we dealt with climate change and hybrid threats impact. Our upcoming study is going to look into more detail on, for example, impact of pandemics on critical energy infrastructure, or how we protect this infrastructure when it's beyond, for example, the territorial waters. National sovereignty is sometimes issue, and how we can tackle those legal challenges. This will also have lessons learned from our previous iteration of tabletop exercise on hybrid threats. This is just to round up the policy part. So the Consultation Forum has been mentioned, has been a part of several strategic documents at the EU level, and the most recent of those was this communication on a climate and security nexus, where we were mentioned as a good initiative, flagship project dealing with legislation, but not only green public procurement, and our project ideas and studies have been highlighted there. And now coming to I hope we're okay with time, to the second and the last initiative that I will present in a bit less details, because I was not running it, it was my colleague, but nevertheless it's a very much related initiative that was also conceptualized at the Consultation Forum. So we have seen, and also we heard from Colonel Sidec about ResHub, which we're very proud of. It was conceptualized at the forum, and also it received our help on the margins of the project to get the funding money. So this one was another success.
The European Union has the world's largest maritime space, presenting immense offshore renewable energy prospects. Yet, large maritime areas are reserved for both civil and military uses, which creates challenges to developing offshore renewable energy projects. European initiatives, like the Symbiosis project, aim to bring European ministries of defense and industry experts together to identify these obstacles and propose solutions to overcome them. Through research and simulation models, Symbiosis explores alternatives to foster coexistence between offshore renewables and defense activities, vital for achieving the EU's climate neutrality goals while ensuring armed forces' operational effectiveness. Symbiosis, harnessing offshore energy for a sustainable future.
So Symbiosis, as you can imagine, has been quite relevant in the sense that military somehow reserves, has a lot of areas reserved, and in these domains it's quite difficult for developers to even plan any of their developments. So we wanted to launch this initiative to show that for some problems, there are already solutions in place, only if people can come together and talk about it. And in addition to this, so we also established we established 2 communities of users, one coming from MODs, and the second more of these of the civilian sector, of wind turbine manufacturers, developers, etc. So just by getting those people together in one room and to different workshops, it already meant a lot. And then we had the help of a contractor who was mapping and assessing the maritime areas which were eligible for these developments, highlighting the barriers and solutions to overcome. And now we will soon publish the final report. It will not be a public document, but it will be shared with our main stakeholders that participated in the project and, of course, member states. These, you can see, principal barriers to coexistence. I will not go into more details at this point. This will be a part of a final report. And these are some of the links where you can find more information about us, some media coverage, podcasts that we have prepared, so feel free to go through it. And just the last slide, concluding remarks. So more or less what you see, we know that now the world is changing regarding energy. And you can see in those boxes what would be the objectives for the civilian sector. So more energy efficiency, modernized infrastructure, more training, upskilling. But this all holds true also for the military sector because it's inevitable. And also, just to bear in mind that our key message is that energy transition is not about going green, it's about increasing our energy resilience and military effectiveness as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please stay here, please, and I would like to invite other two speakers. Guys, speak here. Okay. And now we'll be ready, or we are ready for the questions and from audience. Please, we don't have much time, but we can still have 2-3 questions. Anybody? No? So I have a question for Maya. So you are in a way my European boss. And we as a military, as also Matej mentioned, we are quite experienced, but not easy to work with us and so on. And this community of 150 people from 32 countries, even more, so on, we coming together, knowing each other and so on. What is the challenge? That we can bring these results? How you actually see us, and how can you motivate us to do something? So, is there a challenge with us?
I think this is a bit of a challenging question, yeah. No? But yeah, you said it yourself. I mean, we include people, MODs, industry, academia, from 30 countries. This is, I think, a challenge in itself, like you say, because just to manage those difficult expectations, different priorities in different member states can be sometimes tricky. But I also would like to say that this biggest challenge is maybe the biggest asset of the Consultation Forum, because this is, to our knowledge, the only of such of fora that exists and that is developed at a high level, at such a level, and has been existing for a decade. So we really need to use together this asset to foster community, first of all. So from the EU, we cannot do anything without you, basically. So we're trying to do more every time, for every conference, to develop interesting agenda, to engage you people, have our national contact points come back to us with some of the topics that could be interesting and important, of relevance to MODs. So this is how I think we already function, and we have good feedback from you ministries. And you say, we European bosses, but you are actually the bosses of us in a way. So I think it's a mutually good and beneficial relationship that, and the fact, the existence of a 10-year is something that corroborates that we must be doing something right.
Thank you. And you are completely civil, never been into military, am I right?
Right.
Yes, but you mentioned changing of military behavior. Can you notice that we are changing through the time as a military? Or especially this related topic, behavior?
Right. We as a military, so I will quote you on that. So military is not well, one entity, and we know that all member states have different approaches, and some are, if we speak about energy efficiency, some are better students, some are not that good students, but the important thing that everybody sits in the same classroom, basically. So what we have noticed over the last couple of years is indeed a change a bit in mentality, in acceptance, in prioritization, and in behavior ultimately. So I think this is testified also by the fact that one of our project ideas was on military behavior, how to work on this energy sustainability. So I think the things are changing, going in a good direction.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Any question from the audience? Yes, please. Please introduce yourself. And it works.
Okay. Thank you. Ivo Prah from AVL, Slovenia. I would have one question for you. The first one is, how do you see, let's say, percentage of e-fuel needs in the future for military applications?
Okay. Good. Thank you. And I believe we all somehow answer that in the future we can be without any delivery of the fossil fuels into Europe, because at the end we might produce what we need, e-fuels, on our grounds. If Europe is going more and more to the electrifying mobility and so on, there will be still some, let's say, areas where you cannot completely electrify. People will always saying me, the tanks will not run on the batteries. And I agree. Maybe they can run on the hydrogen, but the problem is energy density and so on. So where is the solution? We can produce the e-fuel and use this e-fuel in the tanks or trucks or something like that. So it is definitely the e-fuels. The problem here is other, I can see when running the old, let's say, internal combustion engines, is how this small community, that one will be, so the militaries, I don't know, some special things and so on, all the rest will be mobility in the electricity, how to get spare parts, how to assure the line of supply of spare parts to support these classical drivetrains. That will be much more challenging. But yes, there are already, and also in Ljubljana will be presented at the consultation forum, the chain from the renewables going to the hydrogen, going to the, together with the CO2 capturing, producing all kinds of e-fuels, whatever you would like. So there is, from the RESCAP, is also something else in the next step. Did I answer?
Yeah, thank you. And maybe the second question for Professor Sekaučnik about this, let's say, micro-nuclear reactors. I didn't get how they are cooled, let's say, if you would have in such, let's say, military camps, is the cooling of them kind of challenge or not?
Yes, this is indeed the challenge, because every let's say, thermal cycle, thermodynamical cycle to produce power needs to be cooled, or let's say the extracted heat needs to be, let's say, extracted to the environment, or if CHP capability is used, this heat could be extracted at higher temperature, but of course it demands then heat demand. Whenever you have CHP system, then the primary, let's say, energy source is, or primary energy product is heat, and the secondary is electricity on the other hand. But if there is no heat consumption, then of course this heat needs to be extracted, and of course it is not possible in every circumstances to extract it into the river, for example. In this case, also cooling towers will be needed, for sure, because this is the thermodynamical law behind, which could not be legally be changed, of course.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Other questions? Matej, I have a question for you. Matej is also the industry reporter in the energy and environment captive at EDA. And I'm very aware that you know Slovene industry very, very well. And you know how to connect them. What is the challenge? Because now you are in charge somehow of the European industry in this area. What are the different challenges with European industry and, let's say, just Slovene industry and science?
Thank you very much for the question. In my role as industry reporter in one of the captive, this is actually the position we are all proud of, because that was also recognition to Slovenia that we are doing really excellent job. But on the other hand, the whole Europe, and currently in this captive, I believe it's 23 European countries participating. That means that representative Ministry of Defense are part of it, and also the industry, and as already mentioned before. And some of them, of course, are the big ones, the prime ones. Actually, as already presented before, just tackling, just sensing where they can have possibilities. And currently what we are facing, at the moment, I believe we have 5 to 10 new project ideas. Also started, initiated by international partners. I would say the usual suspects usually sometimes, and that's good. Because that is also opportunity for us. But what is the direct question to you? As already mentioned before, Slovenian industry need to understand that if they want to be part of it, and as already mentioned, this is the way where you're coming to the defense value chain through development collaboration. Need to actually think about what is your added value. What is actually your solution? What we face up and what we identified in the last years, Slovenian industry is mostly suppliers. Are mostly suppliers, and they are focusing only on their product. And when you are thinking about what is actually your added value, do not think just I'm good, I'm leader on the civilian sector, because at the end the representative of the final user, they don't care about your motor, they don't care about your AI or something. They care about final integrated solution. What actually it will contribute to their capabilities and so on. Whenever you think what you can contribute, please already start thinking aside, in parallel, who that partner can be that can also integrate your solution. That is, my opinion, what the main challenge for us is. So we have really a lot of ideas by Slovenian companies, but we are focusing on one really small piece. If that piece or that component is actually improving, bringing added value for the whole concept, that's the most important thing. But you need to be aware, think about the whole concept. Otherwise, we will not manage to be part of the large programs or projects. And I believe this is the challenge we all need when preparing the ideas, when preparing the proposal. But what is good? If we have good idea, or you have good idea, you need to convince Slovenian MOD first. And if they recognize this as an opportunity, then we will jointly start searching for international partners where and with this we can actually start preparing the consortium or also bring together those who are part of that value chain where actually you can enter immediately. This is, I think, but this is the main challenge, is just how to change our idea, how to start the projects.
Okay, thank you.
I hope that I answered.
Yeah, somehow. Okay. Professor, thank you for presentation on the micro, small nuclear reactors, and already there were some questions regarding this. Tell me, can we, and in how many years, produce in Slovene fabrics such a capability? The micro nuclear reactors. Do we have knowledge? Do we have wish? Or we would be again just sub-supplier, as Matej said?
Okay, I would like to point out that on some segments that you addressed right now, we have really, really excellent competences with regard to research infrastructure, with regard to educational system, if you want to express me this way. But of course, there is also industry still available. I'm not sure that if we will proceed with this kind of policy, that the industry will remain in Europe as a whole, because we know that the let's say metal industry, which is quite unpopular with regard to CO2 emissions, is moving outside of Europe. But still, in Slovenia, traditionally, we have such kind of industry. We also have a lot of knowledge and competences in, let's say, in other sectors supporting nuclear technologies. However, what remains, let's say, unresolved is general political decision, whether it is supported by this quadrihelix or triple helix in order to put it in the production. But of course, our knowledge is already been used in international, let's say, international value chain. We cooperate with the main industries worldwide developing those technologies, but it is a great opportunity also for Slovenian industry if the political decision will be made. And a colleague of mine also pointed out the whole point is onto this decision making, actually.
Okay, thank you. Any question from audience? So I believe we need to conclude. Thank you very much for being here with us. Thank you for your very good presentations. And to audience, I believe that we were able to show you, first of all, the importance of the subject. The second also that we are in Europe quite advanced and that we have a wish to be even better, that there is a lot of R&D behind, and for sure there is a wish to deliver to war fighters and also to the national, let's say, energy security part, also through our industry, the goods itself that we can contribute to that. And at the beginning, I said the same. And my background is aircraft designer, aircraft engineer, and blue guy. And I mentioned that they called me the green guy or the Martian or something like that. And I hope that now you understood why I changed to the energy. Because energy makes the world go around. Thank you.